Welcome to Stupid Motor Warning Tricks for Volleyball Coaching. I'm Mark Massey, and in video number 3, we're going to examine the relationship between making errors, coaching responses to errors, and the impact on learning. So, what relationship do we have with errors? Do we tend to focus in on the mistakes, or focus on the correct, or at least acceptable responses surrounding an occasional error? Well, this is actually a trick question because, as we'll soon see, we need to optimize our response to errors with different behaviors favored at different points in training. When I was taking rat psychology in college, I had a very aggressive superstar rat who explored his cage with great frequency and who also bit me at every chance he got. I was willing to tolerate the bites because his assertive curiosity and risk-taking made him very trainable through positively rewarding him when he got closer and closer to the goal and simply ignoring his off-target behaviors. I could just as easily have stopped certain behaviors cold with a stiff shock to his hindquarters, but also with the unfortunate end result of turning my assertive, curious rat into a fearful, cautious rat. Now, animals trained to fear also become avoiders and less curious. In hunkering down to avoid the bad thing, they also lose their ability to take risks, explore, and learn rapidly. So, exploring and risk-taking behaviors come with inevitable mistakes. So, if you want a coaching recipe for creating slow learners, when mistakes occur, make sure you focus on the mistakes and punish them, which will then lead to fear and avoidance of mistake-making, a decrease in risk-taking, and a long-term tendency to learn slowly. So what conclusions do we draw from the great volume of motor learning research on errors, responses, learning, and performance, especially since our goal when performing is to have minimal errors? But yet, when initially learning, we need our players willing to explore and take risks, which will inevitably lead quite a few errors. I should also add as a side note that there is a lot of research that supports focusing feedback almost entirely on the positive executions and minimizing comments on mistakes at all, just as I did with my rat. Players learn faster when you tell them what they do right rather than what they do wrong. When we look at these concentric circles, we can more easily grasp the relationship we need as coaches in responding to errors, with a wide error circle when initially learning and a very small one when performing. We should tolerate a higher level of mistakes with initial learning because it increases healthy risk-taking and creative behavior. As we train to automate our skills, the error tolerance tightens. In performance settings, of course, we need to have trained many of the mistakes away, but not based on fear. Clearly, we need to be very cautious about triggering avoidance responses through player fear of making mistakes in our gym. In fact, I think the evidence is very much on the side of encouraging errors, especially if they are in the same direction as our eventual goals. Realize too that some players may arrive in your gym with already well-developed fear and avoidance responses, either from previous coaches or life situations, that you will need to work hard to help them unlearn. From a coaching feedback perspective, we may have to consider stopping several behaviors of our own. First, if our athlete interprets our coaching as a threat or as unwanted, no matter what our intentions, we may be forcing them down the very fear and avoidance path that we don't want to initiate. Second, we need to examine whether we are intentionally allowing for greater or lesser errors based on whether we are in a learning, training, or performing situation. We may also need to start focusing on some new coaching behaviors, such as ignoring mistakes, or even encouraging mistakes of a particular type to unleash active exploration of new movement patterns and ball control skills in our athlete. Our ultimate player on the far right here is a sequential blend of their error and correction experiences, both when they are initially learning, then training, and finally performing. Make your error encouragement and feedback on purpose, and your players will be happier and speedier learners. If you want to learn more about how to apply motor learning research to volleyball training in your gym, visit me at volleyballvideolightning.com right away.